All right, guys, let me give a little bit of context here. The man himself, Knowkami, who is an amazing Dragon Ball FighterZ player, Evo top 8 finalist, and a great streamer too. Make sure to follow him on Twitch and YouTube. I'll link those in the description. And he's made a video. He's made a bunch of these videos about different characters and, you know, why they're underrated, why they're overrated. And he made one about Krillin, and I thought it would be interesting. Me, as someone who has played Krillin since the day the game came out, I thought it'd be interesting for me to watch and listen to some of his insight and maybe give some of my own. So let's jump right in.
So this character, Krillin, he's actually in a really interesting space right now. He's in a really, really interesting space, and a lot of people don't play him. You know, I wanted to title this why no one plays but should be playing, because I do really think Krillin is not a trash character. Like people.
Right off the bat, I agree. I think Krillin's not trash. In fact, I think he's pretty above average. I think if you're looking for a support character, I think you can do a lot worse. He's got a lot of good assists, but
I even think he could be closer to higher tier. You know, I think Krillin is pretty powerful, and I'm gonna explain why. First and foremost, Krillin sucked. We all know he wasn't good.
I agree with that too.
Krillin and Beerus has been kind of memes for Dragon Ball FighterZ for a while now. They both have had issues. We're gonna talk about Beerus a bit another time. But first things first, Season 3 has granted Krillin a beam. He no longer throws a rock and tells you, I'm here. No, bro, you're not here. Like, you threw a rock. Now that he has the Kamehameha wave, already, I feel like that puts him in a different space, because now it makes it so he can be used in the support role where he was meant to be. You know, when you give a character a really crappy, a really terrible assist, it makes us, the player base, believe that he's meant to be played as a point exclusively. When, in my opinion, I think that Krillin is meant to be played in the support role now.
So I'm curious to hear more of what he has to say about this, but just to weigh in, I do agree. I think Krillin is a support character mostly now. I think you can run him second slot or third slot, and I think it's really good. I'm sure he's going to talk a lot about the rock assist, but just preemptively, I think rock assist might be better than beam. I think it's probably close. They're both good. They're both really good. But I like them both a lot. So yeah, I think Krillin is an amazing support. I mean, he's not like GT Goku level, like just put him in B, like put him in the middle slot and your team is good. He was maybe not that far, but he's really, really good as a support, I think, for sure.
Especially with the Kamehameha wave as his assist. Let's get into Krillin a bit more. First things first, Krillin has, let's get this out the way. Yes, his normal stuff. They're not that good.
Okay, so some of Krillin's normals suck. Yes, his 2H sucks. His 5L sucks. Some of his normals suck. But he has some good normals too. I think his 2M is good. His 5M is very good. And his 5H is okay. And his jump M is... But I guess we're not really talking about jumping normals. He's got some good normals. Like, yeah, his 2M is not like Adult Gohan 2M, but it's pretty good. And his 5M is very, very good. It's really fast. So I don't think all his normals are bad, but he does have some bad ones. And 2H is like an important move, generally. So having a bad 2H is pretty bad.
But we all know that his main issue is his normals. The major issue people have always had with Krillin is his normals. They suck. They're not great. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's going to be getting any range buffs. That's not the way Arxis is taking it. So that is his main character flaw. The normals. But
okay, so do I think that Krillin's bad normals are his biggest issue? Maybe not necessarily. It's one of his biggest problems. I think he has other issues too as a point character. Like, I don't think like his neutral is that impressive other than beam. I feel like it's hard for him to convert things into pressure without assists. Like, it's hard for him to take a neutral situation and turn it into like an offensive situation unless he has assists up. I think that's kind of an issue too. As opposed to a character, you know, like Bardock, who can just win neutral with his special moves, or same with like GT or someone like that. I do think he has some issues like that in neutral, but his normals are one of his bigger problems, I would say.
Now that the assist is better, and he still has Sensu being as an assist, we can talk about get into the character a bit more. Because like I said, I think Krillin, I think he's good. I've even considered playing him. Don't quote me on that. Don't listen.
Come on, you have to. Kami, if you watch this, you have to play Krillin, at least just for a day. Once you start playing with The Rock, you'll never be able to drop him. You'll be addicted. Once you play with Rock Assist, you're never going to want to drop Krillin because it's so good.
Don't listen. Listen, JM Cross. I know you're going to see this. Listen. Krillin players, X-Pro. I know you're going to see this. Listen.
I'm seeing it.
Possibly. It's a possibility. Because I think he's good. Krillin does have a lot. I'm not going to go over.
He predicted that I would be watching. I mean, he's right. He's right. Just try him. Just try him for one day. Try the Rock Assist for one day. You'll be hooked.
All the things I think is bad, because honestly, other than the normals, I don't think he has very many bad things. I'm going to explain why. First and foremost, let's talk about this beam. This beam has what you call a height restriction on it. So he can't do the air beam. You can't TK normally Tiger Nevis. So that has a pretty cool implication. That means no matter where he is, where you are on the screen, that part of the screen can always be occupied by a beam immediately. A lot of characters can't do this. If I do this with Kid Buu, if I TK this with Kid Buu, it's going to come out right down there.
That's actually really interesting. That's something that I've never taught. I've like never thought about that ever. That if you Tiger Knee his beam, it actually like is kind of high up. That actually seems good. I've never thought about it that way. It seems good, right? Because that height,
Kid Buu,
this height is kind of like a hotly contested part of the real estate. Over here, we all know people like to hang out up here. Looking for a super dash or waiting for their assist to charge. People like to hang out up here. So being able to cover that quickly is good. That's a great point.
If I TK this with Kid Buu, it's going to come out right down there, which is in the same range of his normal. So he has a beam with relatively good recovery that he can always occupy that super jump height of the screen with. What does that mean? That means that if you got Bardock B, you know, you can be put in a block string. You know what
I should do that with 18, actually, because I run 18 C assist. I should totally do that. Like, just press 18, do it, and then they get dragged back down to the ground and have to block both hits. That seems good.
Calm down. I'm spitting right now. I know I'm spitting. I know I am. But that's just one implication, one thing that can be done. Again, I think Krillin's neutral, or I didn't say this already. Krillin's neutral is pretty effective. Look at this right here. Doesn't that remind you of Nova? Doesn't that remind you of Energy Javelin?
Come on, okay. Listen, Krillin Ki Blast is cool, but it's no Energy Javelin. First of all, you can't super dash through Energy Javelin, so that's one thing. It's cool, but it's not that good. Let's not get carried away.
It reminds me of Energy Javelin. Nova was a pretty good character too. You know, it's not the most amazing tool in neutral, but you'd be surprised by how many characters don't even have something like this. You really would. You would be surprised. This right here. Again, and hold on, I'm gonna do it just so you can see, you guys can see for reference. As soon as that's out, can't super dash him no more. Also, what happens when I jump? Oh, it's still covering that part of the screen. What happens when I do this with an assist? Notice, look at the area that it's covering. Look at the angles. And at any time, that Energy Javelin can come down. You see what I mean? These are things that people don't consider, and that can be...
Okay, so I do want to talk about this a little bit. I do think he's right that his Ki Blast is pretty unique and pretty cool, and you can do things with it that other characters can't do. But I think it does have downsides. Let's say that we're trying to do kind of the thing that he's showing. Let's just do that, okay? So let's say that you're trying to throw this out with Krillin and use it in neutral. A big issue is if they're moving forward, like you need them to be at this range, but a lot of times they won't be at that range. so you don't get to do it that much. So like you can set up situations in training mode where it's like, okay, like I'm gonna make him block the first one and then the second one's gonna come down, and then like during the gap my assist is gonna hit, and stuff like that can work. I would just say that the move is a little bit inconsistent because it's so specific, like in terms of the range, and because it's easy, depending on what the opponent does, they can kind of mess up your plan and make it not work. But I think I think he's right that move has some interesting uses that aren't like that explored. But yeah, that's all I'll say.
But this is just a universally really good tool. You know, Goku Black has his 5S, which is not as slow, but still a similar move. And Goku Black, people think he has, which he doesn't, but people think he has relatively good neutral just because of 5S.
Did he just say Goku Black doesn't have good neutral? Hold on.
Which he doesn't, but still a similar move. And Goku Black, people think he has, which he doesn't, but people think he has relatively good neutral just because of 5S.
I mean, obviously Knowkami knows Goku Black better than I do, but I kind of feel like Goku Black has pretty good neutral. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good, right? But, you know, he's like the best Goku Black player, so I take his word for it. Don't take my word for it.
This is really strong that he has this, and he can run in after it. Most characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ do not have ways to create their own plus frames. What does that mean? When I do this, notice he's plus 20. And that's after running in. Look at this. You see what I mean? This is after running in. Still plus 20. That is really, really good. And since I did it that way, we go super dash frame 50. Since I did it that way, he can still 2H you. If you decide to get froggy and try and super dash, he can still 2H you at any time. And if you sit there, let's say you sit there, I can put you in a block string. That right there is really strong. And I think that's, you know, a lot of anchor characters don't have that.
Yeah, I think he's right. I think he's right. Like, really, this is just making me feel like I need to explore this a little more. Because it does seem good. It seems good. That's not really a move that I use very much. But yeah, like, it recovers really fast. So, like, even in those situations that I was talking about where, like, your plan doesn't really work the way you want, where it's like, okay, they're going to come down and then he's going to have to block it. Like, there are a lot of ways to disrupt that plan. But it's not like you're exposing yourself to that much risk anyway, because you've already recovered. So you can react to what the opponent does. So
a lot of characters are going to have to use Held Vanish. Or even his Held Vanish is stronger than a lot of other characters too, if we talk.
I do agree with that, yes. Krillin, he can do a lot of dirt with Held Vanish. It's kind of like Ginyu. Like, I see Ginyu players do this a lot too. Like, calling the Ginyu Force and then holding Vanish, you can do a lot of dirt. Krillin can kind of do that with his Ki Blast. Which is cool.
Because he has that they still have to worry about. So that's, I know I sound crazy, but he got some things going for him. That's all I'm saying.
Someone in chat says it's funny that 90% of the stuff he likes about Krillin has been there for a few patches. You're right, but I think his overall point is that Krillin is an amazing support character now because he has good assists finally. And so he's showing things that are ways that Krillin solo, like I was saying earlier, I think one of Krillin's downsides is that it's hard for him to convert neutral into a positive situation without using assists. But he's trying to show ways that Krillin can do that even without assists, as an anchor. I think he mentioned that this is something that's good as anchor, especially because you'll have level 3 sparks, so it can last longer. He's showing things that these contribute to Krillin being a good support because they're cool pressure tools that he can use and he doesn't need assist for it. So
to their advantage. But something like that comes up a lot more than people would think. Look at that. That's really strong. Comes up a lot more than
I think that is really strong.
Any character that can create their own plus frames in neutral are going to that's going to be lucrative to your team, is what I'm saying. And he can do it from the air too. Guys, that's really good. It's really good that he can do this.
Any character can create plus frames with Vanish. I mean, I know that that's like a joke that you're making, but in case anyone is wondering, why is this Ki Blast setup better than just doing Vanish? Because Vanish is plus anyway. It's because you can 2H Vanish. You can't 2H with the Ki
Let's
Blast
talk
setup.
about his Destructo disc, right? In the event that you hit someone. Like, these are things that characters don't have, man. These are things that characters don't have. Just like Bardock, right? Double supers, the ability for him to come in, do 800, and then release more, that's going to facilitate tons of damage and TODs, especially in Season 3, where Okizeme is nerfed, and damage.
Okay, let me talk about this real quick. Let me just take a quick look at something. Let's compare damage real quick. So that was 2932. So that's a little less than 1500 per meter. That was a little bit less, 2859, about 1425 per meter. $2,800, $1,400. Okay, that's the least of all of them, but it's not that much less. Okay, the point that I was making here was that using 2 meters with Krillin is a very, very small damage bump. Like, you can see that the first one does 2K and the second one does 800, and like even scaled, the follow-up ones do very little. So the point I'm trying to make is just that it's not that efficient in terms of raw use of meter. I do agree that it's useful having this option. There are situations where with other teams you literally can't kill, even if you have 7 meters, but with Krillin you can because you can dump the meter. It does happen, it does come up, but if we compare it to the other really good double supers, the best of which is probably UI, because you can do his double super off of a Z change like you can with Krillin. UI does way more. And like, I know that UI is like, everyone hates this character because he's broken, so maybe he's not the best example, but Krillin double super, it's pretty good. It's nice to have, but I don't really consider it like a reason to play the character because it doesn't come up that much. But okay, that is a point in Krillin's favor. I do agree.
Something simple like a JH, a simple ABC combo and limit break turns into this. You know?
And see, the other thing, so even though I was just ragging on repeated Destructo discs, it is good that if he's your anchor, if Krillin is your anchor, you can spend 5 meters with him. Like, think about this with Yamcha. That's a huge point in Yamcha's favor, that he can do more damage than most anchors because he can spend more than 3 meters in a combo. And Krillin can do the same. So that is definitely a point in Krillin's favor.
Strong.
And not to repeat myself too much, but it ties into that thing that we're talking about where, like, Krillin is a good support now. And this is yet another factor. In addition to just having good assists, this is another factor in his favor of being a good support because this is extra damage potential that he has as an anchor that most other anchors don't have.
People overlook that. Let's keep going. What else? Oh, how could I forget? Jeez. Guys, and this was the main reason I have been thinking that this character is, especially with the Kamehameha Wave as an assist, is a very viable character in Season 3 if you're using Beam Assist. Because, and I know I'm kind of all over the place, I just am really excited to talk about him. I think he has a lot of good things going for him.
I'm excited too. I'm excited for Krillin in this season. I think he's great.
So, or let's say this happens, right? And Bardock gets out. Bardock makes it out. Immediately can just throw him a sensu beam. Immediately. That is really strong because the tag, as we know, the tag mechanics in this game are really powerful.
He's got a point. He's got a point. If you heal your assist, you can tag back into them. He's got a point. Do I ever throw a sensu beam to my assist? No, I never do it. But it's a unique option. It's true.
And they're really difficult to deal with. So, you know, it's very possible in a match that you're going to get a guard cancel or a tag off. And him being able to throw that sensu beam is huge. And think about it. Remember what I've said. The best characters in fighting games, not saying Krillin is, but the best characters and moves, or the strategies that make a difference, are the ones that you can do that your opponent can't do. So Krillin being able to throw that senzu bean.
That's an interesting statement. What do you guys think about that? That the best strategies in fighting games are ones that you can do, but your opponent can't do? Or I guess the best characters are characters that have options that they can do that the opponent can't do? I've never thought about it that way. It's an interesting idea. I mean, if we look at the top tiers in this game, a lot of them can do stuff that other characters can't do. For example, like GT, even though he's not a problem anymore, he can combo off his level 3. The UI Goku has a unique wake-up option and a bunch of other stuff that only he can do. That's an interesting concept.
And the recovery on it is not bad, by the way. That's 37. That's really not that bad. Like, you're not gonna punish him.
Yeah, like Videl dodge. Okay, touche.
Doing this. Him being able to recover his teammate's life much faster than you can is important, because they get a new lease on life immediately. I think that's a very slept on part of the character that people definitely have to look at.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea that the Senzu Bean is slept on. I mean, I definitely sleep on it. I complain all the time about how Senzu Bean sucks. But it's a thing that other characters can't do. And it comes up. Like, there are times where, like, we're talking about Krillin Anchor, right? Krillin Anchor being good. If Krillin's your only character left and your spark is gone, Krillin can recover life. Other characters can't. He can recover blue life with no spark and no one to tag into, which is unique and powerful. So it does come up. And now that his A assist is good, let me just plug Rock Assist again. It's amazing. It's really, really good. And he can choose to throw Senzu Bean still, and he gets unlimited of them, which he didn't used to get. It comes up. It comes up. Like, maybe like 1 in 5 matches, the Senzu Bean matters. But when it does, it's like, yeah, this actually, I might have won because of Senzu Bean. It happens. It happens.
That is very, very strong. Very strong. And people are still saying he's garbage, and I just can't.
Are people saying Krillin is garbage? That may be the one thing in this video that I actually disagree with. I agree with basically everything he said. Like, there are some things where, like, he's like, this is really strong, and I'm like, I just think it's kind of strong, but we still mostly agree. But do people still think Krillin is I feel like everyone says that Krillin is pretty good now. I think I might be more high on Krillin than most people, and it sounds like Kami might be too. Like, I think Krillin is above average. If we are not just talking about point potential, I think if we're in the entire package, including how good they are as a support and their assist, I think Krillin is above average. There are a lot of characters worse than Krillin, for sure. And the other thing is, there aren't that many good supports. Even with the assist changes, there aren't that many good supports. Like, in terms of, like, characters who you can run in third slot on basically any team and feel good about it, there aren't that many. And Krillin is one of them, I think.
Agree. I cannot agree. Because as I'm looking at it, he's checking tons of boxes. Tons and tons of boxes. This is a strong character. This is a character people should definitely be looking into playing. And I think that in the future, he's going to see a lot of play. We know why we shouldn't play him and why nobody plays him. But that's why I think people should be playing. Krillin, boys. Bald head boy.
Okay. Okay, that cut off very quickly. But yeah, I mean, yeah. I think I pretty much covered most of the points. I agree with basically everything he says in the video. I do think Krillin is good. I think he's an above average character. I think he is well above average in terms of being a support character. So yeah, you guys should try him. And I will say there were a few things that he didn't cover that I think are strong strengths of Krillin. For example, he didn't cover that Krillin can get much more damage than average off of a vanish, even from full screen, and he gets a lot of corner carry. It doesn't come up that much, but when it does, like, sometimes you're just doing stuff like this, and it's like, holy crap, all of a sudden I've done 50%, and that was a vanish. I mean, I know it was off of a raw 5H, but it happens, you know, when you're block stringing people and they're mashing vanish, sometimes you get it like that. Plus, you know, the fact that he gets a sliding knockdown from anywhere on screen. There are still characters who suck at getting sliding knockdowns, and he gets them anyway. So that's good too. Another thing he didn't mention is rock assist, obviously. Don't sleep on rock assist. It's incredible. It's incredibly good. Oh, you're right. One more thing. He didn't mention this. This is his best move. He didn't mention this move at all. The only time he used this move was like in a block string. But this is like Krillin's best move. This is like his best move. I use this move constantly. In scramble situations, people just get hit by it all day. And like people try to 2H you and then they just get hit by that and you get a combo off it. It's godlike. So like it happens a lot where, you know, you get up tech double jump and you get away with it. It happens. Or you can like delay wake up. And whenever you just end up in like a weird scramble and you're airborne, this move is ridiculous. It's so good. But that's about all I can think of in terms of Krillin's strengths that he didn't cover. Great video. Like I said, make sure to check out Knowkami's YouTube and his Twitch. He has videos like that for all kinds of characters, and they're really great. So make sure to check them out.